Stunning allegations in the death of a WWE superstar wrestler and his entire family found dead. Atlanta suburbs. Is the same celebrity doctor connected to yet another WWE death?
Federal investigators are reportedly looking into the death of a second professional wrestler who was also a patient of Dr. Phil Astin. Astin is a doctor who prescribed steroids to wrestler Chris Benoit, who last month killed his wife, son, and then committed suicide. Now investigators tell the Atlanta Journal-Constitution Michael Durham, a.k.a. Johnny Grunge, who died in his sleep last year, was also a patient of Astin's. Toxicology reports on Michael Durham are pending, and Benoit's are due this week. Authorities say Astin has not been charged in the Benoit case, but he has been indicted on 7 counts of over-prescribing painkillers and other drugs to 2 of his other patients.
7 counts? That's putting it mildly. Have you seen this indictment? If you take a look at it, on one day, this doctor allegedly prescribed 540 pills, another day 670, another day 480, one day 720 in one day, July 22. What the hey? And tonight, apparently, yet another death within the WWE connected to the same doctor. Let's go straight out to Bryan Alvarez. Alvarez with Figure4Online.com and a friend of Benoit's. What do you know about this doctor and about Johnny Grunge?
Dr. Phil Astin had prescribed medication to a lot of different guys in Atlanta. Chris Benoit actually got hooked up with him through guys in WCW. And the thing with Johnny Grunge's death is that had pretty much been finished when he passed away, but it's being reopened now because the pill bottles that were found by his body were prescribed by Dr. Astin. And he was prescribed 120 somas the day before his death. And the thing is...
Whoa, 120 what?
120 somas.
What are they?
Muscle relaxers.
Wow. The day before his death. Okay, go ahead.
The day before his death. And it's not unusual to be prescribed 120. So I think the key is how often was Dr. Astin prescribing him 120 somas? Because if this were every 3 days, that's obviously a major problem. If this were every 2 weeks, that's something different.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding Grunge's death, Bryan.
He was found dead with 2 pill bottles next to his body that were empty, and I believe one of them that was empty was the 120 that had been prescribed the day before. And I believe the coroner stated that the pills alone, he was found with soma and hydrocodone in his system. And the doctor said that the amount of drugs in his system was not enough to kill him, but he also had some major heart issues and he was morbidly obese, and the combination of everything probably killed him. Was
he still wrestling at the time he died?
He may have been doing indie dates, but he was out of the major leagues.
He may have been doing what?
Indie dates, independent pro wrestling, smaller shows outside of WWE.
Got you. To Dr. William R. Maroney out of Michigan. He is a medical examiner, an expert in the field of forensic pathology. Soma, hydrocodone, explain.
Those are 2 bad words to say together. Hydrocodone is commonly called Vicodin, and it's mixed with Tylenol. It is a Schedule III substance. Soma is a really good drug. I only use it in the hospital, though. I never give it in the office because of its addictive potential. Soma's metabolites are also addictive. When you put the 2 of those together, a metabolite is what the body turns the drug into. When the body metabolizes a drug, it's trying to detoxify its system, and the metabolites are also addictive in Soma.
Hey, doctor.
Yes.
They said that Johnny Grunge, Mike Durham, he wrestled under the name Johnny Grunge, very, very well known, died of sleep apnea. Please, stop. That's basically snoring and, not breathing for a few seconds periodically through the night. You don't die of sleep apnea. That is complete BS.
Here's what I see. The #1 side effect from an overdose of hydrocodone would be respiratory depression. The #1 side effect of Soma at higher doses would be respiratory depression. And you put those 2 together, and that spells trouble.
What you are seeing right now, everyone, is Chris Benoit wrestling in the WWE on USA Network. What a star. Dead way too soon at the age of 40, just like Johnny Grunge. Let's unleash the lawyers, Susan Moss, Daniel Horowitz, Ray Giudice. Susan, what more do you need to at least launch an investigation? An empty pill bottle prescribed the day before beside your bed. The died guys the guy dies of sleep apnea, or as the doctor just suggested, respiratory problems, respiratory failure. Where is this going? Already 2 bodies allegedly connected to one celebrity doctor.
No deal for this disgusting drug doctor. This doc should be under lock. Let me tell you something. Not only is he now allegedly connected to 2 dead wrestlers, but how many teenage boys are looking to find and try steroids to be like their heroes, Benoit and Grunge? This man has a lot of blood on his hands.
I don't understand why he's on bond, Ray Giudice.
Nancy, he probably has no criminal history.
So?
He's on house arrest.
Neither did Ted Bundy.
Nancy, a bond is to ensure you come to court. He lives in the jurisdiction, he has no criminal history, and he has an attorney that has guaranteed his sentence and he's on his appearance, and he's on house arrest with electronic monitoring. The feds will not have any trouble bringing him to court.
Right, right. Just like the feds are going to monitor steroids in the wrestling industry.
And
what about it, Horowitz?
Well, Nancy, I took my steroids before this show, so I'm ready to fight you today. That doctor did nothing wrong,
Not
Nancy. He prescribed drugs for people
Daniel?
who are in pain.
Let me ask
They're
you a question.
in pain. They're athletes, Nancy.
Question. Answer truthfully. Do not look away from the camera. Have you read this indictment? Have you read the indictment word for word?
No, I haven't, Nancy.
Then you don't even know what you're talking about. Did you see this?
Oh, I know what I'm talking about, Nancy. I know that there is a vendetta
540 pills,
against these doctors.
540 pills in one day to
Right.
one person.
These are traveling athletes, Nancy. They're athletes. They travel. They're on the road. They need pain
They don't
pills.
need
They are
almost
350
800 pills in one
Nancy,
day. You know
they're
what?
huge men hitting the mat time and time again. You think they don't hurt?
Let's go to the
Ask
experts.
a football player, Nancy.
Let's go. Yeah, they're dead. Let's
Yeah,
go
they're
to
dead.
the
That's
experts.
unfortunate.
Joining
but
us
the doctor
tonight,
didn't do it.
Joining us tonight, Marc Mero. You all know Mr. Mero, a friend of Chris Benoit's. Also with us, Carlos Ashenoff, also known as Konnan. Both of them famous wrestlers, well known in their field. Welcome, gentlemen, to Marc Mero. The whole concept of steroids in the wrestling industry. How does it happen? How do one of these doctors latch on to a famous up-and-comer that wants to win?
Well, it's usually introduced by another wrestler. Whenever a guy finds a doctor that's going to give him the prescriptions, we medicate ourselves. We diagnose ourselves. We tell the doctor what we need. And what this gentleman just said about that we get prescribed pills for the road, but the problem is that we get prescribed too much pills, too many. And if we tell the doctor we lost our bottle in Tacoma, Washington, he just sends us another script or whatever we need. But I got to tell you something. Being on the road as much as we were is unrivaled in any other sport. And that is one of the problems with professional wrestling. There's no off season. Right after the Super Bowl of wrestling, which is called WrestleMania, we do Monday Night Raw the next night. Now, could you imagine in the NFL if they had Super Bowl and they start the season the next day on Monday Night Football? It's unheard of. We need changes. Vince McMahon, you are the CEO of the WWE, the most powerful man in the wrestling industry. I ask you to please start doing something about the state of professional wrestling before we start having congressional hearings on Capitol Hill, and then they're going to make the changes. The problem is that could take weeks, months, or even years, and how many more funerals will I be attending, or more people will I add to the death list of the people I wrestled? Johnny Grunge, number 17, his tag team partner, Rocco Rock is number 15. Please do something about it.
What you're seeing right now is Mero wrestling with Benoit. That's on the WCW wrestling circuit, now owned by the WWE. I want to go to Carlos Ashenoff before I go back to Mero about that list of dead wrestlers. Mr. Ashenoff, also known as Konnan, joining us tonight. How do you believe a doctor, one of these celebrity doctors or a wrestling doctor, latches on to a young guy who he wants to be on that poster in every 12-year-old's bedroom, what little kids want to look like, what they think they should look like, all these little boys across the country? How does a doctor latch on to somebody like Benoit or like Johnny Grunge?
Well, some of them, like wrestling, they're wrestling fans, and so we take advantage of that. And, they want to be friends with us, and one of the ways that they become friends with us is giving us what we want.